What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel where we talk about Christianity and biblical sexuality. My name is Taylor Simon Maxwell, and I am the author of The Desire Tree, which is available now on Amazon in paperback form as well as ebook form. The link for the novel is down below, as well as the novel summary. Also, don't forget to hit that like button if you're encouraged by what you hear, and that subscribe and notification bell so you can get notified weekly when I post videos. Today's video is going to be me reading the first chapter of my novel, The Desire Tree. I'm going to be giving away my novel for free. Yes, you heard me right, free, F-R-E-E. February 14th through the 18th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th as an ebook download. So if you head on over to the Amazon page, the link is below, and you hit that ebook download, all you have to do is hit that button and the book is yours. But it's only free for those 5 days. And today I'm going to read my first chapter. So without further ado, let's read chapter 1. All right. I'm going to start with the foreword. All right. For those who have struggled, for those who've felt lost, for those who felt so hopeless they've wanted to take their own lives, for those who are in despair and hurting, for those the church discarded and shut the doors on, for those who have been told God hates you, for those who have been told you should hate yourself, for those who have been judged, for those who've been beaten and mistreated, for those whose parents told them that they were a mistake, for those whose parents disowned them or told them to just change, for those who are tired and confused, for those who want answers, for those looking for purpose, for those who feel like no one understands them, for those who just wish the pain would go away, for those bullied in high school hallways, for those picked on past the day of graduation, for those who feel misguided, for those who feel like they're at their rope's end. This is for you. Chapter 1, The Choice. The day I decided to kill myself, I'd awoken in my Castro apartment, blacked out in the darkness, and had ended up on a bench in Crissy Field. Fog still blanketed San Francisco, despite it being late April. Locals jogged through the crisp air, a black Labrador played fetch on the wet grass, and tourists took photos of nothing that seemed important. As I sat there, moisture from the bench started to seep through my pants. I didn't care. I licked my lips, tasting the oily skin that I hadn't washed for 3 days. I didn't care. I could feel the ache of 4 zits forming in distinct locations on my cheeks. I didn't care. My stomach groaned in hunger. I'd forgotten to eat breakfast again. I didn't care. Sounds drifted into my consciousness, waves crashing, birds singing, the Labrador's bark, and then I retreated back into the darkness of my mind. I'd felt hollow before, but this was by far the worst I'd ever felt, the most brutal depression I'd fallen into. I disliked myself. In fact, I loathed every aspect of myself, every cell in my body. I thought I knew what self-hatred was growing up, but I'd been kidding myself. It was exhausting to hate yourself for so long. I had done everything I'd said I wouldn't. Disappointment. Was that even a strong enough word to describe it all? What had I become? What kind of man was I, if I was a real man at all? For starters, there was my feminine voice. I was a man. I was supposed to be a masculine being, and yet my whole life my voice had sounded otherwise. Why do you sound like a girl? People would ask. Why do you have a lisp? They would bully. Kids began to notice there was something different about me starting in elementary school. I wasn't like the other boys. I was a stain in the middle of a white sea. I rather enjoyed running around the playground with the girls during recess, playing house or playing with Barbies I had snuck into my backpack while the boys role-played army men and kicked around sports balls on the far side of the lot. It didn't take long for me to notice that maybe the bullies were onto something. When the house phone would ring, I was always left with a, "Good day, little girl. Is your mother available?" Or, "Is this Miss Stone?" By the time I was in junior high, I fostered an anxiety around phone calls, like a festering ringworm oozing out pus, the fear of once again being mistaken as a woman. My voice always seemed to be higher on the telephone than in real life, even more feminine than most girls. A few times in high school, I had taped myself talking aimlessly into a recorder, just so that I could replay it and listen to my voice. Ugh, was my voice ugly. It made me uncomfortable. After that, I even tried coughing, as if trying to get my voice ready for an important speech on a platform of some sort, and then I would try to talk deeper. I thought that perhaps I could train my voice into brawniness, but a few deep coughs and a good hard try never got my voice to the baritone level I'd always desired. Once, when I was a freshman in high school, I'd been hanging out in the quad. An upperclassman named Trenton Shipper had made a very humiliating comment in front of everyone. "You're really feminine," he'd said. It felt like my chest was collapsing in on itself. I was so embarrassed, as I could only imagine what was going on in the minds of the others after the comment had been made. Some had laughed, others had smiled softly. Did that mean they agreed? Trenton Shipper had made that comment because of the way I moved my body, the way I moved everything, the way my fingers bent, the way my wrists swiveled, the way my arms swung about, even the sharpness of my facial expressions. I wanted to change so badly. I wanted to be just like Trenton. He was on the football team. He was dominant, strong, manly, and handsome, and all the girls wanted him. I Googled a handful of times how to appear masculine. I even practiced in the mirror of my bedroom. Put your shoulders back and your chest up. Don't cross your legs when you're sitting down. I tried to follow all the rules on how to act like a man, but it was never fulfilling in the way I wanted. Trenton hadn't been the first to say something, to notice I was different. I felt like I needed a cure, some kind of pill that I could just take and make all the things I hated about myself go away like magic. I'd been sitting on the bench for almost an hour now, and time seemed to have forgotten all about me. I was tired. Tired of it all. Tired of hating myself. Tired of being in a room full of people and feeling as if I were the only one there. Loneliness had been my only friend way before puberty had blossomed in my body. I was tired of daydreaming about best friends, about having buddies of my own. No one cared. There were no friends willing to stay up all night with me, just because I needed someone to talk to. Why was it that when times got tough and I looked up from the mud and mire, my so-called friends were nowhere to be found? I'd been an outsider, an outcast, since I could remember. Always different, never fitting in. I was tired. Tired of seeking out sexual pleasures, thinking that it would fulfill me, only to be left feeling drained and wanting more. I was in a hamster wheel of sexual craving. I'd been stuck since junior high. The hamster wheel had remained the same, but the speed had increased. And I was tired. I was so tired. Seek, chase, repeat. I was used up. There was nothing left to give anymore. A couple holding hands walked past me. On the woman's finger was a diamond ring that glittered even in the fog-dampened light. I caught a snippet of conversation and 2 words seared me. Wedding invites. It was a joyous image, and yet the very sight of the couple was a blade twisting itself into my chest. It made me feel even more hopeless and empty inside. I'd lived my whole life knowing that in the deepest part of myself, I'd always wanted what that couple had. I'd always wanted to be that guy with that girl, to get married like all the normal men, to make babies with a woman in the passion and romance of the wedding bed, to be all that a man should be when he was in love with a woman, to have a big house full of kids, of personalities and laughter, the masculine to the feminine, to grow old and have grandchildren of my own. But it was never going to happen for me. Never, because I was born gay. Even so, as badly as I wanted the image that was vanishing far down the path towards the bridge, I desired men even more. I loved the desire, but I hated it all at once. I wanted it to stay and yet go away. I'd fallen on my knees so many times, praying, crying out to any divine power that might hear me. I used to believe in God when I was little, like a young innocent child believed in Santa Claus, but I'd made up my mind a long time ago. If God is real, how could he let so much bad happen in the world? How could he let me fall into such darkness? He must not care. Perhaps there was only the hopeless existence of the most insane accident to have ever occurred, a planet somehow supporting life. No one or nothing had ever planned it. There is no divine inspiration, no artist's hand at work. It seemed like religions were as old as dirt and worthless. Elaborate creations designed to make humanity feel better about themselves. Shadows to blot out the fear of death. Answers to questions that plagued the human psyche. I felt like religion was created so that people could give life meaning. Belief in a higher power gave ease to a restless mind. If humans were created, then we had a purpose. And if we had a purpose, we had a plan. And if there was a divine plan in place, then people didn't have to be afraid, and life was given breath of meaning. It is all garbage, all of it. Where is my purpose? Even in my doubt and suppression, at times, I'd wished it to be true. A handful of moments, I'd prayed, God, or whoever is out there, if being gay is wrong, then take it away. Make me like everyone else. I wanted the gay to go away, far away, to a land where it would be burnt with fire and destroyed. I prayed the gay away more times than I could count on my fingers, thinking that if there was a higher power, and if that higher power stood on the belief that being gay was wrong, then if I prayed, this higher power would take it all away, like a thief in the night. This, of course, never came to be, nor had it ever come to be for any of the other homosexuals I knew who had done the same. Being gay was permanent as the sky was blue and the moon was white. It was never going to change, because I was born this way. Born wrong. If God was real, then God probably hated me for the things I'd done, for who I was, for what I was. My world had said, be true to yourself, and I had done just that. True to my desires, lusts, attractions, but where is the fulfillment? Where is the content heart? Where is the purpose in life? Everyone I had hooked up with seemed to be just as fragile too. How could another broken person fulfill my already broken soul? If I am truly being true to myself, then why am I so full of despair? Why is my mind once again wallowing with thoughts of suicide? I got up from the cold bench and began to walk towards the bridge. I wasn't in a rush. I was going to take my time because I'd already decided. The darkness was too heavy, and I had decided that the only way to make the darkness go silent was to take the upper hand against it. To make the hopelessness go away forever, I had to make an eternal sacrifice. I'd been carrying a beam on my back. I had tricked myself into thinking that it had gotten lighter, when instead it had been gaining weight the whole time. I didn't know why, but unexpectedly, I felt the urge to pray. To pray to a God I wasn't sure was real or cared. One final attempt before it all ended. God, if you're real, give me a sign. I blacked out in a sort of way. My feet left, then right, had led me to the bridge. Cars zoomed alongside my zombie-like body in midday traffic. Pedestrians on foot and bicycles strolled past me. I kept walking until I managed to make it a quarter of the way down. Traffic was being redirected from 2 lanes into 1 by a police officer. Several police cars were parked alongside the edge of the sidewalk. An officer had caught me off guard, pulling me out of my comatose state of being, his hands waving in the air, stopping anyone from continuing down the bridge. Sorry, please turn around, he said, under the hairs of his thick mustache. I grabbed the icy red railing and leaned over to see what was going on. What is being blocked off? A man in his early 20s with a pale face and dark circles under his eyes had climbed over the railing and was standing on the ledge, looking to jump. A California Highway Patrol officer was speaking to him. His gestures were smooth and calm like the winds of a summer night. I tried to imagine what the officer could possibly be saying to the man. If a suicidal person can't convince themselves that their own life is worth a second chance, then how can a stranger convince them? In that moment, I completely forgot why I'd even come to the bridge. It was like walking past the television with no expectation of watching it. Then 20 minutes later, you realized you curled up on the couch and you'd forgotten what you were doing before you were watching. I began to silently root for the officer to save the man, simultaneously fearful that I was about to see a man kill himself. Don't jump! Does he have any friends? Family? Someone's got to care about this man. He's so young. What happened to him that made him feel so hopeless? I watched the trembling man reach over the ledge and the officer taking his hand. As he slid over the railing back into reality, back into life, I became aware of what was going on somewhere deep inside myself. It was like my soul was a mansion, and somewhere deep within the long hallways and bedrooms, a light had turned on. Hope. What had the patrol officer said that had convinced the man to come back over? I hadn't realized it until the man was in safe arms, but I had started to cry at some point during the transfer. What if I had jumped before the patrolman had uttered a word? The thought sent a terror through my body, and I could smell regret even before I had the chance to leap over the edge. The nightlight of hope that had turned on somewhere inside of me was still glowing. There's your sign. I looked over the edge, far down below where the waves whipped and raged. I am a faggot, a feminine, hateful, pitiful, disgusting human with a worthless existence. Is this the only way to fix the problems of this life? I had been so certain of this. No one would miss me. The last thing my mother had said to me was that I was just like my father. Of course, my sister would be sad, but we had always been distant, and she would get over it. She was fine with us talking 4 times a year on the phone, so I didn't see what the difference would be if I was just gone from this world forever. They would both move on with their lives. My friends, well, I had none, or at least none that cared. Mostly people who only wanted me around when they benefited from it. I could see my funeral in the eye of my mind, my black casket being lowered into the ground. Would anyone show up? I felt the world would be better off without Christopher Stone. I believed this in my gut. Even still, there was this one line of prayer that I'd uttered, and the nightlight that had turned on, and the words that had reverberated inside me. There's your sign. It was as if something or someone was cradling me, telling me to make a choice. I took a deep breath through my nose, wiped my tears, spun around, and made my way back towards the skyline. All right, that concludes the reading of Chapter 1 of my novel, The Desire Tree. Again, the link is below, as well as the summary for the novel. The link to my website is down below as well. You can get the Amazon link there too. Again, February 14th through the 18th, so 5 full days, you can download this book 100% free of charge as an ebook. I love you guys. I'm praying for you, and I hope you have a blessed and encouraging day. I will see you guys next time.